Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that introduction. And Reverend Dalco, thank you for your prayer. It's inspirational, and we are really fortunate to have Reverend Dalco in our community and working on all the great things that he's working on. I did want to recognize my wife Diane, who's hiding in the back there. Can you wave? And thank you for being here. And my son Nick. My dad Ray Deaver is also here, and as you just heard from Mark, my brother John is here, and really it is such an honor to serve as mayor of the city. It is a burden on people around you that are taking care of you, and John really does carry all the water at our law office right now, and so John, thank you. Appreciate that. We do have several city staff members here. Guys, y'all just wave. Thank y'all for being here. We appreciate y'all very much. Starting off with just a memory, we lost a tremendous asset to Waco earlier this year when we lost Wilbert Austin Sr. Wilbert had served on the city council as the District 1 representative for 11 years. The longest serving member from that district. He was just a model of servant leadership, and we miss him greatly. He, as you know, fought cancer to the very end. He had a wonderful going away ceremony, and what I remember most about that was him telling us he was packed up and ready to go. And we miss him a lot, we really do. Wilbert was followed by Noah Jackson Jr., who we appointed to take Wilbert's position for the remainder of his term. We had 15 applicants for that position, which I think is just a real testament to how excited people are about things that are happening in Waco and wanting to be a part. And we had many qualified applicants. Noah has said that he does not plan to run for re-election this coming May, and so I think we will probably have several qualified candidates, and it'll be an interesting race. And it's been a real pleasure to get to know Noah. He has served on many Waco boards and commissions. He's also worked for years and years at the VA and has owned several businesses. Just a great civic leader, and we're fortunate to have him serving out Wilbert's time. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening downtown. We keep talking about it, and the riverfront development is right around the corner. We have two great projects that are in the works down there. Just finishing up the TCEQ environmental cleanup on that property, and we're trying to do that in a way that is the most efficient and least expensive for the city. And so it's taken a little bit longer to do it that way, but I think in the end we'll be really glad. We've got the project there that is the main project that you've been hearing about, and then Joe Beard and Rick Sheldon also have a project that they're working on, which would be an 11-story conference hotel, and would really be bring a lot of additional life down to the riverfront. Downtown continues to develop. Every time you drive down the street and into downtown, you see something new happening, and it's really, really exciting. Franklin Square's retail area is starting to develop. We've got the Clay Pot that's just opened downtown, Simply Irresistible, Wildwood, many other businesses. It's like something new every week down there, and the momentum is clearly there now. We have, earlier this year we went out with an RFP on Heritage Square. That is the property that's next to the Chamber building and next to City Hall. And we got two outstanding proposals. The city has selected a proposal that will include several high-rise office towers. They were going to do that in a phasing. The council expressed concern that we want to be sure that we are bringing in new businesses into the city as we do this, and so they will phase this, and we will certainly focus on that. Their whole pitch was about bringing in new businesses, relocating companies to Waco, and they're confident that they can do that, and we're looking forward to letting them show us that they can do that. So we're excited about that. We've got a lot of highway construction coming, and that's both good and bad, but it needs to be done. I-35, you keep hearing about I-35 between the loops, from Loop 340 on the north side to Loop 340 on the south side. We are focused on getting that all redone. And part of the city's role in that is through the MPO, which is the Metropolitan Planning Organization. And the MPO sets the priorities for where TxDOT spends its funds in this area. Our first priority has been the overpass Highway 84 and Spiegelville Road. That is set to start construction in early next year, and that will be a real relief once that's completed for that area. It's badly needed. It's been on the books for years and years, and we're finally about to see that construction. The I-35 project, we really want to get that all done at one time. At this point, it's in 2 phases, and the second phase is not funded. But the first phase is Loop 340 on the north side, all the way down to 12th Street, so past downtown and past Baylor, and then that will leave 12th Street to Loop 340 on the south side to be done. We expect the first part of that to happen in the first part of in 2019, and it's supposed to take about 3 years. It's a really important project. There will be much improved pedestrian and bicycle access between Baylor University and downtown, and there are many other features of that project, but we're really excited about getting that done, but know that it's going to be an extreme inconvenience for the 3 years that it's going on. The city continues its capital improvement project program, and we are spending millions and millions of dollars on infrastructure. And if you just have to drive around a little bit to see all the projects that are going on. This is a $2.5 million pump station that is going in right now at near the airport. And there are lots of things that you don't see like this. You certainly see the road construction. You've seen the road construction on Lake Shore. That was a safety project, and now they're doing a second project on Lake Shore at the intersection with Mount Carmel to improve sight lines and make that a safer intersection. We still have the big project on Lake Shore, which is the slope stabilization, which is about a $40 million project. And we continue to work with Bill Flores and others in Washington to try to obtain some federal funding, possibly from the Corps of Engineers, to help with that project. But we've got to fix that project for the long term, and that's been one of our priorities for the last several years. That's a slide of the Lake Shore job, Lake Shore construction at Mount Carmel. The Lake Brazos Dam, as you all know, many years ago we replaced the Lake Brazos slow water dam with a much better design. When I was growing up here and even through college, that dam would fail on a regular basis, and it would turn our beautiful Lake Brazos into a mud pit. And it was really hard to get any kind of development going down there until we could get a constant level in the lake. This dam has done that. It's been a good project. It does have a tendency to collect debris when we have flood events. And we've actually had to hire helicopter service in the past to come in and remove debris with a helicopter, which is obviously not a great situation. We had a barge out there earlier this year clearing debris from all the flooding. So they're working on a kind of an amendment to the design that will be a gateway to try to keep that brush moving past the dam and not letting it tie up on top of the dam. The landfill. Maybe we should just stop right here. We've got 6 or 7 years left in our current landfill, and it's not a laughing matter. It's a difficult decision for the city council. It has been the most contentious thing that I've been involved in my life, and it's frustrating for me to deal with some of the things that we deal with. I certainly understand the concerns, the legitimate concerns of the neighbors that live around it, and there are some very legitimate concerns about it. The council asked in March for additional, for the study of additional possible sites to the Old Arena Road site. And we have spent the last 6 or 7 months getting that information. We're still studying that information. We still have more questions to be answered by city staff and our consultants. But I think that you will see a decision made on the site in the next few weeks. But I have thought that for the last several weeks. So, you know, it's a complicated decision. It's very multifaceted, and it's a balancing act, right? We've got to do what is right for all the citizens of Waco. And we recognize that wherever we put this, there are going to be people that are inconvenienced by it and that do not want it anywhere near them. And so that's a fact. And what I can tell you is the city council is going to make a decision based on what we believe is best for the entire community. And I can also tell you that wherever we put it, we're going to have a lot of people that are unhappy with us. And that's just a fact of doing this job. And that's not been the most fun project to work on, but we're going to get there. And the other thing I will tell you is that once we do choose a site, it will be the city's job to develop that site and operate that site in a way that is as good for the neighbors around it as it can be. And I can promise you we will do that. We have done a good job with our current landfill. We do have an odor issue out there. We do not believe it is the landfill. We believe it is a sewer problem. It's not that the landfill doesn't have odor, but the strong odor problem that you have out there is a sewer problem. And we're still trying to locate that. And I know that's frustrating to you. It is very frustrating to me, and it's frustrating to staff. But intermittent problems like that are hard to nail down and deal with. But I'll just say that we're continuing to work hard on this, and we are trying to do the best for our city. Brent Stroman retired last year, and Brent had been a fantastic chief of police for Waco. We replaced him with Ryan Holt, who was just doing a wonderful job stepping into those shoes. I'm so pleased with the work that he does, not only with his force, but also talking with the community, meeting with community leaders, and continuing to build the strong relationships that we have with our community. He's picked up the ball and run with it. He's got a strong team underneath him and just doing a great job. We are in the process of implementing body cameras for all our police. This is a multi-million-dollar project. You would think you could just put cameras on police and that would be an easy thing to do. But dealing with the data that comes from those, being sure that we have a robust system, and that it's a great thing both for the police and for the community to have the confidence that these things bring. They're not perfect. There are issues with them from time to time, and you know, we look forward to that too. But we think that it's important for us to be as transparent as possible with our citizens, and this is a step in that direction. We expect to have those in place next year. We are in the middle of building a new fire station on Spate. I say we're in the middle of building. We have selected a site, and we'll be starting that project also next year. The current station there was built in 1958 and badly in need of being replaced. The venue tax. I know Judge Feldman will talk a little bit more about this, but this is really an exciting project, and it's a great collaboration between the city, Waco ISD, and McLennan County. It will be a source of great economic development and bring in a lot of conventions and more tourism. And in addition to that, the city will get brand new ball fields for its Little League complex out there. The Little League fields will move to a new location, and that'll be a nice facility when we're finished. We had two important leadership changes this year. Dr. Marcus Nelson was named as the new superintendent of WISD. And Dr. Nelson, we're so glad you're here. Appreciate you being here today, but we're really glad you're here in Waco. And I had the pleasure of listening to Dr. Nelson address his staff at the convocation earlier this year. And I felt like I'd been at church for an hour and a half, and I left wanting more, which is just an incredibly motivational speaker. And not only that, he's getting the work done. And Dr. Nelson is faced with some real challenges in some schools that require improvement. And he's going to take that on. He has done it. He has proven he can do this before in the other districts he's been in. So Dr. Nelson, thank you, and we're glad you're here. Also, Dr. Linda Livingstone was announced as the new president of Baylor University. She's the 15th president of Baylor University and the first woman to be named as president. And Dr. Livingstone comes back to Waco after having served in the business school here. She went on to be the dean of the business school at Pepperdine and George Washington University. She is a former college basketball player, as is her husband. And when they walk into the room, you can't help but notice them, because they're. And Brad, her husband, many of you probably know this, was a teacher at Vanguard and teaches a history of World War II class that is kind of renowned around here. And so Vanguard was very fortunate that they came back. He was back in the classroom doing that again after having been a principal at or headmaster at a school in their last location. Baylor and Waco have been working together. The ties between Baylor and Waco are stronger than they've ever been. And about a year ago, we began to work with a group that was called the Anchor Institution Committee. And Ashley Thornton sort of moderated and leads that group from Baylor. And we are really working hard to find areas where Baylor and Waco can work together on common goals and achieve more than we either of us could alone. And Dr. Livingstone has immediately embraced that work. I think you're going to see really, really exciting things come out of that collaboration as we move forward. We got a new sign at the Texas Ranger Hall of Fame with the expansion of I-35 along there. The old sign had to go. And we had a bunch of active and retired Texas Rangers in town for the ribbon cutting for that, and really proud of the way that sign turned out. It was fitting to have something that dignified for that special facility that we've got here in Waco. We installed Big Belly solar compacting bins in downtown. This is sort of a, I go test it. There we are. This is a little bit of a pilot program for us. This is something that John Kennard asked for 5 years ago. The wheels of government roll slowly, but we're excited to have these. These things compact the recycling material to 5 times, so that you can get 5 times as much material in these as you could without the recycling, without the compacting. And in addition to that, they email city staff when they're full and ready to be picked up. So it's a very efficient system, and we're moving forward with that. We talked about the animal shelter a lot last year, and the animal shelter continues to maintain its no-kill status, which means that we had at least a 90% live exit rate. Last month, in September, we had a 95.8% live exit rate. We're taking in a lot of cases, over 500 animals a month. And to get that many animals out without being euthanized is just amazing. And that is, I'll talk about Wiley a little more in a minute, but you know, Wiley led the transformation of that with his staff, and he tries not to take credit for it, but that was a huge, huge project that involved a change in the animal ordinance and getting all of our neighbor cities that use our animal shelter to also adopt that ordinance. And it's been amazing to see that transformation. This photo is a picture of some workers from Alamo Sign came in to install an upgrade to our signage, and their manager was in the adoption center when this dog was surrendered. He adopted her on the spot. Her new name is Lulabelle, and she joins her other dog partners, Miss Sue Sparkplug and Honeybun. A dog lover. I really would encourage you, if you haven't been out to the animal shelter, please go out and take a look and take a dog or cat home with you. It's a great facility, and it'll make you proud of the way we are treating our animals here in Waco. Speaking of animals, we had a baby orangutan. Baby Rajat was born this early this year, and he's quite a hit, as is his mother May. And the work that our zoo does with orangutans is becoming world renowned, which is really quite something. I mean, we just had a gentleman in from Borneo to speak to at the zoo as part of his trip to the AZPA conference, and Johnny Binder and Terry Cox are going to Borneo next year as part of that work. So it's neat to have, not just a great zoo for our public to see, but the research and the work that they're doing there is really kind of groundbreaking. The Greater Waco Sports Commission continues to do great work, and they are about to announce a really significant 5-year deal for a well-known regional event that will be taking place downtown Waco, and you guys are going to be excited. If you don't know about it, you're going to be excited when you hear about it. But Will and his team continue to do great work. The silo trolley, this is obviously part of the Magnolia Effect, but it's carried over 210,000 passengers now. And what that does for us is not only to alleviate the parking problem near the silos, which was its original purpose, but it's getting people into downtown and seeing the other businesses. We now have a recorded script that runs while people ride the trolley, and we're soon to have ambassadors on the trolley with the help of City Center to answer people's questions about Waco. I office down in River Square, and John and I do, where Spice is located and all the restaurants. And the parking is a real challenge down there, but that's a good problem to have. I think Waco's tourism just continues to grow, and we're very excited about that. Speaking of the Magnolia Effect, 45,000 people at Celebration last weekend. Unbelievable. We have had, I'll talk a little bit about tourism now. We have the second highest hotel occupancy rate in the state of Texas. We are at 75.5%. Austin is at 76%. So I figure if you round up, we're tied for first. We will have 2.6 million visitors to Waco this year. 2.6 million. 1.6 million of those are attributed to Magnolia. That's still another million people that are coming for other reasons. And when they come to Magnolia, we've got a lot of other things for them to see now. And people are impressed with what they see when they come to Waco now. It's amazing. The Convention and Visitors Bureau is, we are working on a transition of that to a new 501c6 nonprofit organization that will manage that, the Convention Center and the CVB on behalf of the entire community to market all of our facilities, including the new facility at the Extraco Fairgrounds. We really are excited about the way that is coming together. We've been designated a film-friendly city as a result of passing an ordinance that designates some standards for how we handle filming in our city, and it's starting to pay off. Did you know that Ozzy and his son visited Waco to shoot not long ago? We also have there's a rumor that there is a major motion picture being filmed here this weekend around town. So exciting stuff happening in Waco, and it's just more economic development. Not too many. Our Lake Air All-Stars, what a great story. First time ever for Lake Air Little League to win a world championship. Midway Little League has done that several times, and we're certainly proud of Midway. We are really proud of Lake Air this year. And these girls, I had the pleasure of throwing out the first pitch at the regional tournament here when they started their run. And I met several of the girls then. I'm so impressed with them. They're just a terrific bunch, and they showed their fight and heart and made Waco proud. So, and as Alice likes to point out, most of them will be at University High School. They expect to have a really good state high school team. All the events that we're having in Waco, would you believe that last year we permitted 250 festivals and events in Waco? I mean, that's just amazing. It's up over 5 times over a few years ago, and it's just amazing. Waco Wonderland, Brazos Nights, and the 4th on the Brazos have all become staples in our community. A few personnel things. Bradley Ford just joined us as a assistant city manager. Bradley, you want to stand up and wave? We're really glad to have Bradley. He came here from the city of Burleson, where he was deputy city manager. Just started in September and just getting rolling. So Bradley's going to do a great job for us. Dale Fissler. Dale announced his retirement a little bit earlier this year, and we were really going to miss Dale. He was here for 4 years. Native son of Waco, had served in city management positions in Dallas and then as a city manager in Fort Worth, and bringing that experience back with his local knowledge and his heart for our city was a great thing for us to have for the last 4 years. We're going to miss him. A couple of things you need to know about Dale. He's a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Very, very proud of that. I think there might have been some photoshopping, but he is a member. His grandchildren call him Poot. He thinks Harrison Ford is his twin. And he's ready to travel with his wife, Linda, and spend more time with their children and grandchildren. And he told us we know where to find him. So just last week, the City Council selected Wiley Stem as our new city manager to follow at Dale's footsteps. Wiley. As opposed to the landfill, this is the easiest decision we had to make. Wiley has 42 years of service to the city of Waco, and he has served in many different areas, but he has led many great efforts, including the animal shelter that I talked about, many regional projects, one of which Judge Felton will talk about soon, which is the groundwater that Judge Felton is leading. Wiley is working on the city's behalf on that. We are really proud to have Wiley serving as our new city manager. He'll start in March, the day that Dale steps down. So Wiley, we thank you for agreeing to take this job, and we look forward to working with you in that role. And the last thing I have is just what I was just talking about, which is the regional work that Scott Felton is leading on groundwater. We do have a great water situation in Waco right now. We've got to plan for the future, we've got to plan for growth, and we've got to plan for the fact that the groundwater is depleting, and our groundwater aquifer does not replenish. So it is a finite source, and it's going to end, and so we've got to be ready for that. And Judge Felton is doing great work in that lead. So I will turn it over to Mark to introduce Judge, and thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mayor Deaver, for your fine report. I would like to start out saying that the county and the city really work close together, and it's been a very rewarding time of my life to work with the city, accomplishing some very big deals. And I've been around, worked downtown for 35 years, and there's been more change in the last 10 years and really 5 years than there has been all those other years, primarily in the downtown area. The city of Waco gets all the glory of everything good that happens, and the poor old county just having to slug it out, try to scratch out a living. Be sure to look at this list of sponsors. It's very important. Without these sponsors, we cannot do the things that we do in this community. And part of getting things done is getting together, and it's not cheap to get together. So having sponsors is very important. And another thing I want to point out, because I came from the banking community, that you can always depend on the banks to help get these meetings going, get anything done that needs to be done. There's a lot of things that people don't even know about that bankers do, and as far as encouraging economic development and quality of life and those things. And I know when I was a banker, I was always frustrated about the amount of competition that we had. And I thought it ought to be just us and maybe one other. You know, like one national, one local, something like that. Never could get that done, but being overbanked is a really good thing for economic development in the community, and especially for small business. They've got a lot of opportunities to look at different choices and get in the capital they need to move forward. You might have noticed that the mayor didn't have a tie on today, and we talked this morning about that. And I told him that the only people that would be wearing a tie on Friday are those ones hunting a job. And so, good luck for all of you that have your ties on. Ties on Friday are just for marrying and burying. That's the only time. Let's go to the first slide there. That's our Commissioner's Court, and you can see the folks there. I'm proud to serve as a county judge. We're working closely with Commissioner Precinct 1, Kelly Snell, Commissioner Precinct 2, Lester Gibson, Commissioner Precinct 3, Will Jones, and Commissioner 4, Ben Perry. And Ben, I believe, is the only commissioner here actually today. Is that right? Thank you, Ben, for coming. I offered the other ticket, and they just said, I don't know, we got other stuff to do. One of them said he had to get his sock drawer arranged. The duties of the Commissioner's Court. We adopt the county budget and the tax rate, and we approve the budgeted purchases of property for the county, deal with more of the day-to-day business of running a county like a business. We set all the salaries during the budget time, and we have exclusive authority to authorize contracts that the county has. And then, of course, we have to maintain all the county buildings and facilities, and also the many roads that go throughout the county and join in with the other communities and that are in the county. We have a group of I think, really high-quality elected officials that run, and new people elect them, and we appreciate the voters providing good folks for those different spots in here. I know we have John Gimbel here today. Is Andy here? I see Randy Riggs there, and other elected officials here. I think Abel's busy right now. We also have a judicial side that are elected, and we've got a group of judges there that are district judges that are also very busy, especially Judge Matt Johnson today. But they're all fine people. They do a really good job, and we're proud to have them representing us in the county. In the other elected official areas, we have a county court of law. We've got Judge Vic Devanagam and Judge Brad Cates. who sent his junior high picture in. Aging is hard to face, I understand that. And then many of you probably don't know the people that are out in the different areas of the county, the Justice of the Peace folks, and I won't mention them all there, but they all do a good job, and we appreciate them. And then also the constables are kind of the, I don't know how you would describe them, but intermediary law enforcement people that work more in the specific communities or parts of the county, and they serve a very important job. Also, as far as appointed officials, we have our county auditor, Stan Chambers, and Kathy Van Wolf, our elections administrator. We work real closely with both those, especially Stan during, not just during during budget time, but all through the year. As far as some of our department heads, we have folks right here. Dustin Chapman sitting here. He's a county administrator that is similar to what a city manager does, and so he's a young guy that came on, a Baylor grad. He's an attorney, but also understands the business side and brings a lot of support to the court and myself, and also coordinating with other elected officials and appointed people. So, and then we have, I want to mention one new one. We have Zane Dunn as our new county engineer, and really enjoy working with him. Moving on in the budget side, I won't go over all the balance sheet and those things that we have done in the past, but one of the main things that I think we've done, in my opinion, that is important for the future is to try to set a budgetary policy that requires us to keep a certain amount of cash in what we call unassigned fund balance. And that's our cash position, and I think the main reason to do that is so when certain things happen that you don't expect, or there's opportunities that you don't have to just immediately turn around and raise the tax rate just to get it done. And so we build up a good cash fund to be able to soften the blows, and also when we do have excess funds to pay down debt and just run a business like many of you people do at your place. So currently for 2018 budget, which we finished in August and September, we'll go to 29% of our fund balance. In other words, 29% of our expenses will go into a cash position. And then our goal is to go up 2% each year till we get to 33%. So if you go over to our, just a graph showing here that you can see that the blue is our target for the percentage that we have adopted, and then the red is the actual fund balance that we hit. And you'll see in 15 and 16 it went up quite a bit above that. Well, that was an opportunity to first of all take care of some deferred maintenance, but the other thing is pay down some liabilities that we had pertaining to our retirement fund and other things like that. And so that's why it brought it back down, and so we'll manage that. Now, in those through those years, we were able to lower the tax rate 3 cents, 1 cent 2 years ago, and 2 cents this coming year. So hopefully that will, if we have that fund balance there and we feel comfortable with that, we'll also feel comfortable by lowering that tax rate when it's appropriate. Of course, you know, we're beneficiaries of the increased values, which is a whole nother discussion, but I'd rather talk about the landfill than that. We, even though it says McLennan County Appraisal District, it's located in McLennan County, and we're one of the beneficiaries of it, and it's run on a separate board. But anyhow, when we can, we're going to lower that tax rate, and when we have to raise it, we have to raise it. And that's what we did back in 2012 and 13 when we were in a jam. But our deal is, we fix the problem, then if you have excess funds, to pay down debt and get your tax rate in line. Next is, this is a group of counties that have a policy on the amount of unassigned fund balance. And you can see over on the far side that the percentages are quite a bit higher than what we are. There's only one Webb County that's 19%, which would be below ours. But it just makes good sense to do that. Now, some of them are a little bit unusual, like Midland County, 72%. And I imagine they made that decision when they thought oil prices would be going down, and they needed to kind of pad their cash until they could get through that economic time. There's benefits to strong financial positions. The first several years after we raised the tax rate, we needed to get financing in good shape before we found out what our bond rating was, because we knew we were going to have to go into some debt to take care of a couple of roads that I'll mention in a minute, a couple of big projects that we needed to do, and so we need to know that we could get a really good quality bond rating to get the best rates we could get, and so we were able to do that, and then we made a Moody's rating of AA1, which is for counties, that's as high as you can get. Also, during that time, we wanted to invest back in the community, and so we increased our commitment to the McClellan County, the Waco-McClellan County Economic Development Fund, or WEBMEC we call it, and we were contributing $1,750,000, and we went up to $2 million, and the city matched that. And we don't look at that as an expense; we look at that as an investment. And if you look at the trends that we've had on bringing companies in here, not only that, but also companies that are here expanding their facilities here, we were able to help out and get that started, and so we think that's an investment, not an expense. And we have got a lot of deferred maintenance out of the way, and I'm not going to go into the boring details of Americans with Disability Act deals that we've been in that's costing us millions of dollars, but we've got to do it, and so we're right on time where we promised the Department of Justice we'd be with that. And we hope to get those done. The other thing is we have a lot of buildings and a lot of big roofs, and they're deteriorating, and we have to get those repaired and try to get it in a timeline we can do it with our cash and not have to go into any bonded indebtedness for maintenance. The Twin Peaks, and not to keep bringing up the landfill, but the Twin Peaks is our landfill. They both stink, and they're both right in the middle of us. So. Sorry, Colin. I'll find a joke on myself in a minute. Yeah, the Twin Peaks deal, and I think the best example to describe it is what the governor told me the Monday morning after it happened. He called and he says, "Judge, this is not a Waco problem. This is a state problem, and we intend to help you through all of this the best we can." And so, as you can imagine, the expenses were big, are big, and will be big going into the future. But so far, our expenses have been around $500,000. And the county has reimbursed us for $268,000, and so we're preparing to put together the request to get more reimbursements going forward. But to look at where the expenses came from, I don't know if you can see all of this, but primarily the different areas is payroll, which is primarily overtimes that we had to pay during those times, and then outside care of prisoners, which we've got that done. That shouldn't increase again, and that was almost $200,000 of it. And then autopsy costs and transport cost of bodies was about $25,000, and that'd be one we won't have. But the one that's ongoing too will be indigent defense, which is $161,000 so far, and we're just getting into it. And then also professional services, court reporters, all the things that come around that. So it's something I felt like that we needed to discuss. This would be a good place to talk about it, that we're handling it well. We've got a lot of security around this during these trials. Everything's going very smooth. Let's keep our fingers crossed because it is a highly charged situation, and we're dealing with some very, very bad people. On our property, we made the decision several years ago to really evaluate all the properties that we have and to make sure that we're utilizing them to the best of our ability to not have undue costs just because we wanted to be comfortable and spread out. So we feel like a lot of these properties need to go back on the tax roll if we're not using them to the fullest extent. We've already sold one. It's called the old county garage, and we got it sold, and so it's on the tax rolls. And then the other two properties that we're looking at, and this lets me put in an ad right here that we do have properties that we'll sell, and we're working towards the process of how governments go through selling properties. But the Shrine Building, which is a wonderful building, it was has a lot of history. It was built magnificently years ago, and it could really be put to a better use, especially during this good economic time that we have. And then the county garage is another area we service a lot of the vehicles, and really downtown is not, in my opinion, a good place to be keeping fuel and doing that kind of, that property needs to be developed, and so we're working towards that. On road projects, right quick, we have the Spiegelville Road, the Surrey Ridge Road, and the Chapel Road, which we're in the engineering and buying right-of-ways on and moving forward on that. Some really good news, we've been leasing a park from the power company, formerly TPNL, called Trading House Park, and we've had it leased on I think a 99-year lease. We've had it 48, 49 years, 50 years. And so we got wind that the company, the Lumen company that has it now, would be or selling a lot of their assets, so I made contact with them, and long story short, they gave us the property, and we appreciate it very much. We also are in the been approved for a grant that really is to provide boat ramps and those things, and go to the map and show where the property is. It's kind of strung out, but it works perfectly for a park. It's all along the waterfront, and so we're going to improve access to the lake, and our intention is not really to put a lot of high maintenance improvements there, but low maintenance, really good improvements. But we do have security out there, and it's working great. We're real excited about that. Going to the next, it was already mentioned by the mayor, the venue project, and this starts way back in the 80s, where we were trying to figure out ways, and I say we, and that's when I was in banking and volunteering at the Heart of Texas Fair, that we were trying to find ways to fund different improvements that we needed to try to bring in more out-of-town folks coming in for primarily back then it was major horse shows and livestock shows, and so we had worked on it quite a bit. And then there was always, the timing just was not right. There was always some problem with it. And then in working with the school district, they had a soccer field that was right near the improvements of the fair, and so we talked about trading them, and so we worked out a deal to build a soccer field for them, and we'd take the old one, and so the city required that we have a sidewalk on it, and it was a sidewalk to nowhere. So we brought the city in to talk about, do we really need this? And Dale Fistler came up with a great idea. He said, we're all connected and contiguous. Why don't we do a master plan, and if we can get a venue tax going, then see what it would look like. So we moved forward, and this is just on the map there, it would be hard for you to read everything on it, but what it does, it kind of shifts property around to accommodate building a different soccer field, a track field for the infant school district, for the city. You'd take Lake Area Little League and move it around in the Challenger field and expand it, and then for the county property would have expanded equine facilities, and then up on the front, a multi-purpose center that could be used for a real growing need of high school, or actually all youth team leagues, like it could be volleyball, basketball, weightlifting, cheer, all those things. So it'd be an open span building, about 80,000 square feet, that we would be using to bring in more folks in town. Right now, it's about a $43 million economic impact back to the community just on the fair alone. This would take it to about 70 million. We put it out to the voters. It's an unbelievable response of 67% passed on it, and so we're trying to get it all. What it amounts to is you charge 2% on hotel room and 5% on rental car, and that would fund an income stream that would fund bonds that would help construct all these things. So people from out of town would be paying and for facilities that are located in McComb County. So it just seemed like the right thing to do. So right now, it's just another way to say welcome to our city. Right now we're calculating, we're just now getting those revenues in, and they're on the low side, but we expected them to, but they'll be coming up. And if, I'm telling you, every time you turn around, there's somebody else wanting to build a hotel in this community. And so we're going to see a significant increase in hotel revenue, which I think over time will be adequate enough to build what we want. We may not be able to do everything on day one, but I think we'll get it done. Other than that, I guess the last thing I'd have to say is what was mentioned before. We are working on a groundwater project to protect our groundwater by being able to expand the use of treated water out around the communities, and that's our competitive edge in bringing in companies. We can have all the incentive money and tax abatements that you can put together, and you can't get a company in that needs a lot of water and you don't have the water. So that's what we're working on. These are long-term projects, and so anyhow, that concludes my remarks, and I hope everyone has a good day, and I hope you got your money's worth.